So I'd like to talk about the history of looted wagons, sort of the origins of them, the earliest references I can find, and just sort of the sort of progress of looted wagons and the history of what they've got. So the earliest is in Here We Go from 1991. It's quite a big book. It's a really cool sort of book about the earliest sort of instances of orcs and the tribes and that sort of thing. It's a really cool book, but in it there's a section on customizing vehicles. It's got all these tables for speed, what kind of armour, and if they've got like hot rod specials, and there's all different types of things, and there's sort of information about orcs as beasts, and there's really cool pictures and things. So it's a really interesting book. It also goes on to note the different types of battle wagons that they have, and there's even an entry for the Space Marine Rhino, which is more of an Imperial vehicle, not just Space Marines, it's like the Imperial tank. And orcs have access to it in this book. It's really interesting. It's not the Orc Codex, it's Here We Go, which is like a big supplement for them. One of the sort of early background books that came out with Wow, the Orcs, which I unfortunately don't have. I'm going to get hold of. But at the back, there's all these extra sort of amazing artworks, but there's all these extra cut out and play cards that are like repairing and random sort of orky event mishaps and things, which you sort of like, they're blank on the back and they have rules on the front. They're really cool. I really like them. I'm dying to play with them. They're just really characterful. There's different malfunctions and different things happen with odd boys and all cool vehicle stuff. So that's sort of the first instance of looted vehicles and the customizability of them, which I found really interesting. And I see if you can find a copy, borrow one, or just have a read through to make notes. They're really good for ideas. The rules are, they're maybe second edition, but if you want to incorporate sort of more sort of interesting mechanics in your games, I'd go for this book. It's really interesting. So then we move on into second edition with the Orc Codex from 1994. There aren't any looted wagons in here. It's just what sort of that you would traditionally think for orcs, sans looted wagons. But there's all the sort of original smasher guns and all the sort of mech guns, plus some extra ones that are in here, pulsar rockets and that sort of thing, that are in this book that have sort of seen a resurgence lately when they've sort of gone through new stuff. But there's no looted wagons in here, although we did have the big Here We Go book, so you sort of use it from there, and I'm sure people did at the time. So we then skip 4 years to 1998 for the third edition Warhammer 40,000 rulebook, and this is my favourite rulebook. It's the first one I ever got. It's just, I love the front cover, it's just great. There's no mentions of orc looted wagons in here. This was when the rules were changed from sort of second edition to third edition. Third edition was really streamlined, and it came with army lists inside of it for all the factions at the time. There was an orc army list, no looted wagons, but there was in the back sort of more notes about feral orcs and the orc cult of speed. So they sort of have, we've sort of seen them decline a little bit, but it's just interesting to see a bit of a history. Okay, so a year later, 1999, we have my first Orc Codex that came out. I used this at the time. If you don't have a copy of this book and you're an Orc player, get this book. There's really good sort of stuff at the back about the genesis of orcs, and it's a really cool book. This is the first sort of the iteration of looted wagons, looted vehicles, and in this book you would take a Imperial vehicle, a Space Marine or an Imperial Guard vehicle, and you sort of use the statistics for that for armour and all the weapons, but you give it orc upgrades from this codex, which is really interesting. And it's the first mention of looters. They're called looters in the book, but they're given, you would loot a Space Marine tactical squad or something similar, Imperial Guard squad. So if you looted a Space Marine tactical squad, you would have the options for the Space Marines. You'd have one plasma gun and one heavy weapon, or special and heavy, and then a sergeant. If you looted the Imperial Guard special weapon team, there's 3 teams in a squad, you'd have sort of 3 autocannons or whatever you would do. So that's the first. This is the first instance of looters called looters, and it's called a looted vehicle, not a looted wagon. The first one was a custom vehicle or something, and this is a looted vehicle. So we're getting closer, but not exactly. So then we go 8 years later to this Orc Codex, the 5th edition one. We skipped 4th edition altogether, and we got the 5th edition book. Now this is what everyone remembers for Looted Wagons being Looted Wagons. They're called Looted Wagons. You don't give them imperial weapon options. You don't. You take the Looted Wagon, and it's got some of my favourite artwork. I love that. It's my absolute favourite. I love the descriptions of Looted Wagons in here. They're called Looted Wagons. This is the start of my love affair with Looted Wagons. I didn't build Looted Wagons really until I got this codex, and I started building them because they're really fantastic. Yeah, this is what everyone loves. Looted Wagons, they love them because of this book, I think. We have Looted Wagons have transport capacity, or they have a really big gun on them, which I really liked. The really big gun was quite short ranged. It was pretty good. It had 36 inches and it had a big blast template. You kill a load of Space Marines with it. It was fantastic. You just stick it down, you roll your dice, and it always scatters really far. But yeah, it was really good. And they still have the don't press dat rule, which is in the big red button was in this codex first, and then it's in this one, so that's really cool. Now we're in 2014 with my special edition Orc Codex. This was a box with this book in it, the Gazgirl supplement, also with a snazzy front cover, in a box with some metal coins for like 1 to 6 1 to lots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lots, for objective marks and things like that. This book doesn't have Looted Wagons in them. This was the first Games Workshop part making rules for kits they don't build, which, okay, that's fair enough. But we quickly saw the White Dwarf, this one, White Dwarf issue 21, the weekly, the really thin ones. This is 21st of June 2014, and this is where we have the Looted Wagon for 6th and 7th edition. It's really meagre. It's really pants. I love the fact that Looted Wagons are still in the game and there are rules for them, but it's so lackluster. The gun, the range is less. It's a kill cannon rather than a boom gun, and the boom gun, I love it, the kill cannon's less. There's always a transport capacity, which is strange. I built my Looted Wagons with a big boom gun on them that didn't have an obvious door on the back because it's got a big cannon on it. One of mine had a big sort of fuel furnace with sort of flames and things, sort of a steam-powered thing. So this was what Looted Wagons had. They all had transport capacity, and you could give them a killer cannon, which I used, but I really used the rules for the older books. And that's sort of where we've come to. There aren't any more books, not yet, and we're just waiting for the new codex to come out and see what happens. But that's been a sort of evolution of Looted Wagons, and a really long video. I hope you enjoyed it. That's a little bit of the history of some Games Workshop that I really like. Looted Wagons are great, and some cool books. So see if you can pick some up, have some read of Orcs. If you're an Orc player and you don't already own these books, I recommend you give them a look. There's more information about stuff, there's more background material, more battles that have been fought. Give it a go.